place where no one is seen as a stranger, where no one is ever faced with danger. A place that is gentle, kind and light, and nothing would ever trigger a fight. A place that is boundless and wide, where we walk with angels side by side. A place of smiles and happy tears, where our hearts are open and there are no more fears. A place where love is seen on every face and arms are open wide to embrace. A place where everyone measures the same, where you are true though, and yet no one knows your name. A place where mysteries are explored, where truth is accepted and never ignored. A place where those of old age are wide-eyed and still learning, where time seems to rewind and to youth we all return.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We got so much white on today that our camera's showing up dark. We both decided to wear something light. Let's see what we can do about that. Let's see if we can change that. We can change that. Yeah, the exposure's switched up on us. Let's see if I can change that. Bear with me for a moment, young men and women. See if I can get the exposure different here. Hope you're having a good morning so far. And we are having a pretty good
You
morning.
look good today.
I do. Just today.
No, you look good.
Just today. Okay. Got a little more color there. Let's see. That helped a little bit. Let's see if it does. Let's see. Let me know if you're hearing and seeing us clearly. You gonna put your hat back on?
If you step on that knob.
Kind of hides your face a little bit, but you're good. You're good. Hope you guys are doing well. It's my favorite kind of weather. It's a little cool. It is a little cloudy.
Y'all forgive me, I got a little dripple this morning, but I'm all right.
Snipple, dripple. Well, let's see who's here. Hope you guys. Dee Dee said we look nice.
You do too.
He put on a tie today. You see? He looks pretty good.
You see?
He looks pretty good. I don't know if we're going to make it with this.
I might change hat and put on a red hat on.
We put all these light colors on and we're...
Let me get a red hat.
A red hat?
Yeah, because they can't see me.
They see when he got up, you see how the camera lit up? It's because of all this. It's all this.
It did.
It's all this white. Yeah, it's all this white that we got on. Say we look marvelous. We look marvelous. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hey, Raymond. And thank you guys so much. Yesterday, Sandra, thank you, sweetheart. Just calling your name to acknowledge you. And Sissy, thank you for letting me know. You can hear and see us. Enjoyed you guys yesterday. We had fun yesterday. The family got together and Russell cooked out. I mean, he grilled for hours and he fixed so much food. It was just fantastic. All right, you got your, well, that kind of matches your tie. Your tie, yeah. I'm glad you did that. That was good. Let's see.
Whoa.
Oh, that white shirt is what's doing it.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, but we're going to wing it. We're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, John Greason, who's in the house.
Greason J. Hickball.
Dee and George and Jamal and all
George
the babies
Jr.
Hickball. Thank you guys for being here this morning. Vern's here this morning. My brother-in-law was here yesterday. He was here yesterday with all of us. And when it comes time when the chickens go roost, he has to go home because he likes to be at home when it's time. He goes to bed with the chickens and then he gets up with the chickens. I'm picking at you, brother-in-law. I'm picking at you. Hey, Brother Blue and the family. Good to see you here this morning. And all of the rest of you beautiful people that are not saying anything on here. Sandra said the red hat looks better.
All right. Don't mess up that girl.
I hope you enjoyed your Independence Day. I have to admit that I was a little bit saddened about the big, beautiful bill, but we'll manage to get through it, I suppose. I'm praying for all of the people that will be affected by it. Some will benefit and some will not. So we're just praying that we'll all be able to navigate through it. And if you're one of those who's a little bit concerned, I'm praying with you where you remember that God is your source and not the government. The government's not your source. God is your source. And we will all make it through this. I wanted to just do I don't know if we want to do a meditation or not, but anyway, let me just do this. And I need my glasses because I can't see this. This is from the Course in Miracles, lesson 189. And it simply is about, it says simply do this. This is an exercise that the Course in Miracles recommends as a student. And so just take a listen to this, okay? Just take a listen. And do this, okay? Simply do this. You okay?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
got to clean the pipes out.
It says, be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. Lay aside all concepts you've learned about the world. Lay aside all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, good or bad. Every thought that it judges worthy. And empty yourself of all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Hold on to nothing. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought that the past has taught or one belief you've ever learned before from anything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with holy, empty hands unto your God. That's lesson 189 in the Course in Miracles. It says simply do this. And if you practice that as an exercise, a daily exercise, it will help to bring you into the present moment, help to bring you into a place of non-suffering, no suffering, no psychological suffering, I should say. And it will cause you to have to open up, to be opened up to a greater expansion of awareness. You got something good on your plate today?
Got a whole lot of
Your
stuff.
elbows are scrubbing the table today. You hear?
Yeah, I got a short sleeve shirt on there.
Can you guys hear that? Your elbows are scrubbing the table. All right. Sister Sharon popped in since we got in here. There's Noel. There's Yvette King. Good morning, guys. Good morning. I'm glad you're here. And I hope you had a good Independence Day. So what you got on your plate today? You got something good?
Well, yeah, if I can keep my nose dry, this weather is something.
Yeah, you're sniffling a little bit. I wrote this down some time back, and I think I mentioned it to you guys before, but I wanted to go back through it again. In my on this journey that I'm on, this spiritual journey, I should say, of following Jesus as my guru, and how I have come to uh, my my relationship, I should say, with God, if there is such a thing. There's and I mention this quite a bit because I know those of us who came through church and Christianity, we practiced a lot of devotion toward God before we came into the understanding of no separation, non-duality, and all of those things. And sometimes the human part of us longs for those days
Mhm.
of having a relationship with God as an other. And so, in the course of all of my spiritual evolution, I often write down where I am and how I am uh, beginning to see life and see God and see myself. And so hopefully it'll help you. So this is what I did. I wrote it down. I am giving up the search for the remote, all-powerful God. I'm giving up the search for that. I think as we search for that, we tend to push God away from us and not allow the oneness. You need to clean your nose just a little bit, darling. Push God away, longing for evidence, longing for some sign from God that it exists or that it is present, that it is with us. We tend to push God away when God desires to be one through and by us. So I deliberately say that I have given up the search for the all powerful remote God. And I am now accepting God within uh, as that loving presence within. I accept that forgiving God as that loving presence within. I accept that God within me is my friend, is my family, is the one who leads me from behind. And I remember leads me from behind. I heard that terminology from my sweetheart who just passed away a few weeks ago, Tiffany. We were going to Virginia for a meeting with you, and Tiffany had to lead the way because we didn't know how to get there. And it was several cars that went with us, and she was in the lead. We were behind her. And I remember when we got there, Tiffany said to me, she started laughing. She had that funny laugh. She was always, she's giggly laugh. And she said, Dad he was leading from behind.
Who?
She called you Dad. She said, Dad was leading from behind. And I said, what is that? What does that mean? She said, he was pushing me. Now that's the first time I heard that term, and so
I would turn my reverse out going forward.
Yeah, she said he was pushing me, and she was laughing that giggly laugh, and she was really tickled about that. So that stuck with me because God is leading us from behind. He's not out front pulling us, and, demanding us, but he's pushing from behind, pushing us to move forward. So I accept God within me as the one who is leading from behind.
It's called giving your mind a break from being you.
Okay.
Give the mind a vacation
Hmm.
from being you.
Hmm.
And the more you see this, the more you not make your mind a demagogue.
Okay.
Because here's another thing that we've been misdirected for through paper and ink and in religion. Uh, take your burdens to the Lord and leave it there. How can you take a burden to God if you give your mind a vacation from the true self. The burden is not taken to someone way distant from you.
Mhm.
There is no middle ground between you and God except through the mind giving off the ideal that you and God are two different entities.
Yeah.
When you walk the walk of the Spirit, you find out how to remove the gap or the space or the distractions. Now, you're going to have to talk different when you're talking to people who don't go any further than just that.
Mhm.
When I found out where God was, it's the same thing as saying this. Jesus said this, he that have seen me have seen the Father.
Mhm.
I and the Father are the one, meaning the same.
Mhm.
So they called him Jesus, but you don't go around telling people that you're God because that's the mind won't take that.
Yes,
The ego,
it's too strong for the
yeah.
mind. Yes.
But now in your personal closet, gender in the closet, you can go to town with it.
Mhm.
But when you come out, you got to put it like this. You might get spiritual and go about 100 feet off in the air and float up in the air and all that stuff. But you got to come back down to the ground and
Be
walk,
grounded. Yes, to be
get
grounded.
grounded.
To be grounded. Exactly. Good morning, Oliver. Good morning, James Dixon and Kelly and Leslie. Good morning, Sister
Leslie,
Pearl and
Dixon,
Marvita and
Oliver
Essence.
J,
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being
Marvita,
here. And Oliver,
Snipes.
tell Yo-Yo I love her so much and I'm standing with her as I know she is standing and in good standing. So yeah, just let her know that I love her. So yes, that is so true, Pastor.
And then you when you see a lot of people want the mind. We were talking about this on the phone with Leslie's daughter.
Mhm.
A lot of people feel like if they meditate that the mind is supposed to stop.
That's better.
But the mind has its own thing and its own religion, its own doctrine, and its own ways.
Mhm.
But the way of the spirit identity is that it never come and it never go.
Right.
But the books and the teaching tells us that God is in heaven and we on earth. But you remove
It implies that.
it implies that.
Yes.
But when you wake up from the dream of separation, you understand the definition of omnipotence, omnipresent, and God everywhere. So God just can't be in you and then skip and jump over to somebody else and be in them. And then you got 4 or 5 different people standing there and he's 4 or 5 pieces.
Mhm.
That's the mind game. That's the ego game. That's the separation game.
It is.
Have we seen the Father? Yes, you're looking at him. But he's disguised as Clark Kent. You're looking at Superman, but he disguised as Clark Kent.
Mhm.
You're looking at Batman, Bruce Wayne, but he's dressed in a different suit. You are,
So what you're saying is that God wants to remain incognito
that's
and he
you.
wants to appear as us.
Excuse me, please.
Wants to appear as us. Good morning, Lori. So glad to see you, darling. I think about you often. Pastor's got a runny nose. Okay.
Yeah.
You gonna make it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going ahead.
Go
Good to
ahead.
see you. I'm going ahead. I'm going ahead.
You're going ahead.
Kind of lost my train of thought, but pressing forward, God wants to remain incognito so that it can experience life through and by us, not so much as a separate entity. And that's why I said that I've given up the search for the remote, all powerful God, and I've begun to accept God within as my family, as my friend, as a consoler, as a silent partner, one who leads from behind. God is now very, very present and imminent here, uh, So the longing to connect with God is coming from the lust for the separation lifestyle again. That separation that we had, we felt like we had to grope and grasp for God because we never felt really connected to God. So therefore we had to keep doing that and never accepted the oneness that Jesus
That's
talked
right.
about
That's
when he
right.
said, I and my Father are one. It was, and then Jesus, but then there are concessions for the times when you feel very alone and very separated. And Jesus had the same experience, and we have accounts of that in the scriptures where Jesus actually spoke from that place of feeling alone and abandoned and all of those things. And so there is gonna be that duality. There's gonna probably be that longing for a real connection, and at the same time an awareness of an expansive awareness of being one.
That's
At the
right.
same time. And it's kind of I call it cognitive dissonance because it's not something you can reconcile.
We've been emphasizing over years that if you got God, you got the Holy Ghost.
And that's
God,
church language.
that's church
Yes, it's
language.
church language, yes.
But it's directing you to be here and God to be somewhere else.
Mhm.
Or when you, let me ask you this question. When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, based on the book and the paper, he was talking to the Father. But then is it contradicting when he said, he that have seen me have seen the Father? And he said, from that's where he came from.
And it's interesting when he at the time when he said he that has seen me has seen the Father, at that moment he was very comfortable in the oneness.
Yeah, that's it. Comfortable. That's
But
a
when
good
he
word.
got to the garden where he was threatened, his life was threatened, and the imminent uh, the idea of dying was imminent. He was faced with that. There was then the desire to ask God to connect. He felt the disconnect, and at that moment he couldn't talk that way. But then, whatever, as the old saints say, he prayed through. He prayed
And praying
through.
through means you finally come to the place where you prayed enough of talking to God like he's at a distance and you got to get his attention. Praying through is I'm through praying like this.
Yes, and he came to
I'm
himself.
through communicating with myself like this.
Yes, and he came to himself in the garden during that time of extreme panic. He came to himself, and when he exited the garden, he came out as the I am. And as the I am, he was that oneness, comfortable again in the oneness.
When I found out, and y'all heard me say it being redundant over and over again, when I found out where God was, it shocked the mind because the mind knew that it was going to have to think or see things different.
Differently. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I was the Lord when we went to church. We go to church and we shout, we praise God and all that. You don't realize that when the Holy Ghost came on Jesus in the book, if he came on him, who was he coming on? He said Jesus. Well, Jesus said he and the Father was in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible for me to put my shoes on and leave God sitting on the outside waiting to see what size shoe you gonna put on and to wear your shoes. I said to the Lord one time, I said to my eternal self, look, I got to get in the shower. If you don't want to get wet, I remind you that you did dip in the water with John the Baptist, the way the book said. And if you was in one man, you also in all men. When Jesus is revealed as the Christ in all men, as the eternal self, read the book. People say, you're not allowed to talk to those people on the other side. Well, then stop talking to God.
Mm-hmm.
We're not allowed to mess with that. Only Jesus can do that. Well, he said in the book, now this is what he said. He thought it not robbery to make himself equal with God.
True.
So why are you robbing yourself of a benefit?
And it goes back to what you said earlier. It's not comfortable when we say to ourselves or say out loud that I am God. That doesn't feel comfortable. I feel more comfortable saying God is me.
And this is not taught in church. We have the Democrats and the Republicans. In the middle of both sides is a war that should not be there. There should be a left side and a right side to point you in the direction of the middle path. If we can come to a middle ground understanding, the war stops.
Yes.
If we can come to the middle ground, the middle path, you can look at the right side and the left side and see where it's been telling us our positionalities. Our true positionalities is the middle ground. Now, stay in the middle of the road. If you go out and drive your car, don't stay on your side. You get in that yellow line, you asking for trouble.
Yeah.
You got to stay in your place. You got to know how to roll and carry your load. You got to know how to step and keep on stepping without stomping your toe. Because if you stomp your toe, you're going to miss a step. If you stay in the middle ground, you can see all things.
And that the staying in that middle path is where the work comes in.
Yeah,
that's where the work comes in.
But you know, I'm glad you said that. When I found out there is no such thing as working up God.
Oh no.
Buying him and selling him. Buying yourself and selling yourself is only
bartering with God.
That's the finite mind. The church has been trying to sell people God by waking up every morning, going knocking on people's doors, witnessing. You mean to tell me not going to witness? You can if you want to. It's okay. If you don't, it's still okay. There's no law that says that because you knock on somebody's door, you are in God's will or not. Go ahead.
So okay, one of the reasons I talk the way I do about God, accepting God in me, within me as my family, my friend, my consoler, my silent partner, all of those things that I've mentioned. And as the forgiving, loving presence within me. I do that because it's important that when we say one, God, we're one, not one with, but God and I are one. That means not two. That oneness in experience it is an experience of oneness, and it's totally different from the experience of separation. The experience of oneness is when God is acclimated, consummated, infiltrated in every atom of your being and is no longer a separate entity at all. And therefore, the mind has to somehow come to a reconciliation of what that means. How do I experience God then? If I don't experience God as an other, how do I then experience God? So that means I have to experience God within, and it isn't something separate and apart from me that I experience. Mm-hmm. And so I now am experiencing God as I experience myself, but I don't know myself. That is the issue. We don't know ourselves. And we're afraid to take a good look at ourselves because we have not loved ourselves. We have not been kind to ourselves. And so therefore it is hard to believe for the mind that God is here and that what I am is God. That's difficult for the mind to believe.
That's right.
Because of the guilt, because of the shame, because of the things that I have labeled myself with as passing sentence and judgment on. So I've had to come to a place of accepting myself. And so now I accept that one that is needed in the time of trouble is here as me.
Why should God be any different in me or in you if I go down to the liquor store? I remember one time I went to the liquor store and one of the guys I knew worked at the car place said, he went back and told the boy, said, "Hey, I saw rib in the ABC store."
Yeah, I remember that.
God ain't.
He called your name out
Yeah,
real
he said,
loud.
"Hey, Rib, what you doing in here, Rib?"
I remember
I
that.
said, and there was a part of me that kind of wanted to back up and say, "Don't say that too loud."
Yeah, I got to read some comments here, Pastor, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Raquel, I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. Vincent Kelly, it's good to have you
Good
here,
to have you
man.
back, man.
Have you here. And Robert says, hey, Robert, he says, choosing sides is separation.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then Roberts also says God is love, and love doesn't take sides. It cannot take sides because there is no duality in love. There's no duality in God. There's no two in God. So there's not a right and a wrong. So that is a product. If you go back to the narrative in the garden, if the story is true, of the knowledge of good and evil, that's where duality came in. And also, Robert says, me loving is my experience of God. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm attempting to give oneness a picture for the mind. When I will not allow God to be removed from me. That's my practice, is to not allow God to be removed from me, because I know that God is never really removed anyway. But I have to deliberately focus the attention on that is here within. And I remember Robert made me remember this. Uh, I used to long for, and this is way back in the day, I used to hear people say they had the experience of God, the love, the liquid love pour all over them, and they felt so loved by God and all of this stuff. And I used to long for that. And then I came to the realization that I can't experience that love unless I am being that love. So now I experience that, but only when I'm being that for someone else.
If God is love, everything that God is, let me stop right here and say this. I gotta go back. The mind is what thinks that it is you.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's doing its job.
Yes.
But the walk of the spirit is not so heavenly minded that you're not any earthly good.
Mm-hmm.
The walk of the spirit is not you running around with a Bible in your hand telling everybody on the street corner you're going to hell if you don't accept Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Let me touch you on that. When I understood, even if I read it in the book and read it right, the 16th chapter of Luke said the rich man and Lazarus, both of them were eternal, but they were in different locations in the dimensional world.
Yeah.
Okay, which means neither one of them was born and neither one of them could die. The birthing of the new birth experience is really you waking up to the door. The new birth experience and the baptism of the Holy Spirit, like we said in church, that's just a door. You ain't seen nothing yet until you go through this door and wake up from the sleep of stopping because you say what everybody else said. You should go further than a door. There was a door that I saw in the spirit world, and spirit said, my intercessor said, that door that you found here, he said, there are others that know about this doorpost. And in this doorpost, the doorpost will tell you that it is just an opening and just a door, a passage. But the key to this thing is the walk of the spirit is when you go through the door, what's on the other side? You are over there before you get there. So my Lord speaks unto my Lord. Now, when I want to talk to God, I talk to you. When I want to talk to God, I talk to me. But if I don't want you to know who I'm talking to, I don't have to do nothing, just carry on the conversation. And God ain't gone because you cut somebody out. When Jesus met the man that had the legion of dark entities, spirits in him, God was there in Jesus and also mixed up with inside the man that had the legion. He was also with the 12 around the table at the Passover. Even Judas was there and God was there. You cannot omit God just because you see evil.
No, it's the God game. It's the God game because God wanted the experience of all of these things, and so this is where I've come to understand that we shouldn't be pushing away the humanity side of us, the humanity side of us, and there are going to always be questions. We're going to always have questions about why this has happened, why this takes place, and why that. But there I have settled it within myself that there is no reason why. It just is. And so therefore we experience this life as a movie, and it's constantly playing, and there are all kinds of scenes, and we love the drama of it.
That's
We
right.
love the drama
That's the monkey mind. All right. People used to come in my office after I finished speaking in the church. They say, Reverend Saul, can I talk to you in the office? I said, yeah, come on in. They come in. Reverend Saul, you gonna lead these people to hell. You ain't doing this. You ain't saying what the books say. I said, okay. Now, two things I pull up. When you're driving your car, do you have the driving manual sitting in your seat and you have to read it every time you get ready to make a turn or stop at a stoplight? And I said, listen, let me give you a better deal than that. I'll get up out of my chair. I don't have any problem surrendering this chair to you. If you can do a better job than I am, and I can, I welcome you to my chair. I get up. Now you take it. Oh no, God ain't called me. Oh, really? Did he call you to go to the Walmart? Did he call you to go pay your light bill? Oh, you during that time you didn't put it in the mail. You either went down there and walked down to the post office. Oh, if you got the address, you can send it in. But nowadays everything is computer. Do you really know where God is and who God really is? That's what we're pointing you. We're not telling you to go berserk or go shipwreck. You go to church every Sunday and you have a good time. You call it a good time. And you say, God really showed up this morning, boy. He was really on this person because they wallowed in the floor and kicked up dust, or they wallowed in the floor and somebody had to put a towel over them. I believe you better put a towel over if the dress go up, if it's a lady. But God didn't leave because we got to get used to this too. God don't leave because you don't smell good.
God doesn't leave at all. Well, what's the smell got to do with it?
Because he said, that's the devil. He stink like a did
What
God?
are you talking about?
I'm trying to get you to understand. You can't omit God because things don't go a certain way.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't remove God just because you're driving a Cadillac and somebody's driving a Ford. God drives a Ford and a Cadillac, or he don't drive at all.
Yeah.
He don't have to drive it because he's everywhere.
That's true.
But when I get in the car, people said, God is with me. I said, but if you don't slow down, you're gonna kill him. When they driving up on the curb.
Let's see. There you go. There you go.
They run up.
There you go. There you
John,
go.
hey. Anyway.
So you talk yourself back in the hole. There you go.
No, I'm enjoying this.
You're enjoying this?
Yeah, I'm enjoying
I wanted to say too that for those of you who hear us week after week.
After what?
Week after week.
Oh.
I don't consider myself by any means an expert.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
And I don't consider myself to have arrived in
Really?
this
Yeah.
understanding of oneness and in this walk of love and all of the things that we call it. All I want to do is share how I'm navigating in my life and what I am discovering, and sharing that experience with you in hopes that when I share what, and being very transparent, that it will help those of you who are also trying to navigate and trying to cope and trying to master yourself. And so I remember you had a book years ago called Mastering
the
Yourself,
hidden self.
Mastering the Hidden Self.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really the journey is the journey of mastering your hidden self.
Yeah.
So these are not for myself, and I can't speak for my husband, but I think he thinks the same way.
What are the communication skills of the invisible self? I wanted to investigate. What are the communication skills? How does your eternal self communicate with the finite self? Who's in charge of the infinite self, the eternal self? Does he have an agenda? Or is he just something we just make up? I think we need to investigate beyond what we've been told in church, not creating a problem. I remember years ago that if you were classified as a prophet and the calling of God was in your life, or he told you to go do this, I used to think that I was doing God's will if I went to churches and listened to a preacher preach. And some of the churches I went to, they had testimony service. I would stand up and tell the reverend in his own house how he needed to change the way he preached across the floor. I was just that silly. Go to somebody's house. You ain't paying the bills. You ain't keeping the lights on. You just go down and run your mouth, flip your lip, and feel like you done what God told you to do. And all you've done was cause a commotion. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, not disturbance, separation, and division. Now we're going to find out how to walk the walk of the Spirit, because if you give up the belief of the mind and stop siding with the mind, and every time a thought think through you, bad or good, you're going to put the mind in its place by not telling it to shut up, which I do. I'll tell mine to shut up in a minute.
Yes, you do, often.
But it don't stop. All they do is stop right there because it's the mind talking to the mind, telling the mind to shut itself up. But spirit is not to the least bit disturbed. You don't get on God's little bitty baby nerve by trying to tell him what to do and what not to do. Oh, yeah, concerning the work of my hand, he said, command give me. But you need to find out where the hand of God is. Here it is. There it is, just as plain as day.
Which goes back to what I said.
Yes.
There's really the need to master the hidden self, which is what God is.
A lot of people like to master the hidden self so they can get their prayers answered, to get what they want.
And this is what I meant when I said I give up this search for the all-powerful remote God, because that takes us all the way back to wanting to do miracles, wanting to do powerful exploits. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about mastering your inner self and finding that place inside of you where there's peace, and finding that place inside of you where you don't have to change everything. You don't have to be the one to fix everything. There's a real need to surrender that.
There was a lady coming in the intersection of Walmart a couple of weeks ago, and I was crossing. I had my cane and walking to keep my balance keep myself from falling. And when I come across the streetway, this lady came up and stopped to let me pass. So when she got up close to me, I said, "You know what, ma'am?" I said, "I'm so glad you stopped, because I said if you'd hit me, you'd tow your car all to pieces." She said, "I don't know why she said that." She said, "Will you pray for me?" She said, "I can't find my license. Would you ask the Lord to show you where I put them? I I'm out here driving. I got my license. They okay, but I can't find them. I lost them." And out of the blue, she just asked me
To pray for
to
her.
pray for her in the car. After that fun time, hey, if you hit me, you're gonna tear your car up. I run across people all the time, and I'll stop. I say, "Can I tell you something good?" They say, "Well, what is it?" I said, "I can see the Lord Jesus looking at me through your eyes." I said, "He taught me how to see him in everybody I meet as the eternal self."
Mm-hmm.
And they say, a lot of them say, "Oh, I needed that. Thank you so much for saying that." I wondered, did anybody see God in my life? I'm not telling them that because
Hmm.
I'm just want to make conversation. I am making conversation, but I'm telling them something that's going to wake up their consciousness to see God in the most simplest way you can. That is the eternal self. If you don't believe you are eternal, have an out of body experience. Die. Let your body lay down,
Yeah.
and hope you can get back to it, because there's a possibility that if you leave this thing, you're going to feel the weight lift up off of you when you should stay in it and still not carrying the weights.
I got some good comments, Pastor.
Yeah, go
I need
ahead.
to-
Go
need
ahead.
to-
I'll wait.
To come out. He said he's going to wait. Okay. Oliver says, and I thank you, Oliver. He says, "We are all silly until we wake up to the I am self."
That's right.
Yes, we are. And not only silly, Oliver, I think sometimes we just plumb stupid because we don't know what we're talking about, and we're speaking out of the side of our neck. Pastor Mo knows what that means. And just speaking out of the side of our neck, because we really don't we're not talking from that which is true. So I think, yes, you're absolutely right. We are all silly and stupid sometimes when we haven't awakened to that I am self. And then I like Vincent says, he said, "If you see me, you seen the Father. Remove the words me and Father. If you've seen, you seen. Now what is seen and is light, love, and truth." Exactly. And that's important, Vincent, that we remove the me and the Father, because the me and the Father is still two. It's still two. And so as long as there's two, it's not one. And so that's the conundrum that we run into. We're the mind has trouble not seeing in twos. And
Hey, I was in my garage working on one of my toys, and all of a sudden, this mind or this thought said, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it said. The mind said, "You know what you need?" I say, "What?"
now your mind speaks to you as a separate entity.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah. I thought it was me doing it until I woke up to the truth that the mind is not me doing it.
The
It's
mind
that,
will speak to you either as God as an imposter,
yeah,
or as the devil.
yeah. So the mind said, "You know what you need?" I say, "No, you tell me what I need." He said, "All you need is a good ASS whooping, butt whooping." I said, "Really?" I said, "Who gonna give it to me?"
He might be right.
You ought to be quiet. Ah,
He
the mind
might be right.
said, "I can give it to you." I said, "Let me see."
Oh, you talk to it like that?
Yeah, I know it was the mind talking to itself. I said, "Well, let's get it on."
You got a crazy mind.
I said, "Let's get it on."
You
I
got a
said,
really
"Give it
crazy
to me."
mind. You got
And,
a
and
really,
then all of a sudden, he shut his mouth.
he said, Robert says your brain is split down the middle. Yeah, it is. And in more ways than one. You're exactly right. We need to come into some whole brain thinking. He said we must reconcile our own mind and not somebody else's. Exactly.
when
Exactly.
I was raised up a little boy in the moonshine house, when we go to acting up, one of the guys that live across the street, he talked crazy anyway. He come in the house and we'd be crying. He said, "All he needs is a good old ASS whooping."
Well, you know, that was the cure.
I look at him. That's the cure for everything.
That was the cure. Well, well, in our house too, they said when you get to acting up as a kid, you needed a butt whooping, and you get a good cry, and then you'll be all right. That's
yeah.
it.
All you need is a good ass whooping. That's what they say. I'd say, well, I look at him. I say, give your own self an ass whooping. You know.
Oh,
I mean, that's. But then y'all get in trouble.
You didn't say that.
That's what I wanted to tell him.
You wanted to.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I want to say, give your own self a butt whooping.
And, they needed it too.
They did. They come in there getting drunk and telling somebody else they need a whooping.
But anyway.
But they never did get to church. They come past my house to get to church. They never did make it. The moonshine would draw them in there every time.
Yeah, I know. That was their Sunday service.
But you can have so much fun finding where God is, and don't have to run around trying to be holy sanctified. And you don't have to be, because you're a monkey, you don't have to show your tail. You don't have to bury your head in the ground, leave it back in hanging out.
Okay. Okay.
I'm talking, baby.
I know. But
I'm telling these people.
Okay.
I'm telling them how to treat yourself.
Okay. Listen. Oliver says the mind is AI, in that it is limited to what has already occurred.
That's the truth.
Yes. And for those who don't know what AI means, artificial intelligence.
AI.
Which we're seeing a whole lot of right now. A whole lot of. So this is the thing. The oneness for me is finding that God that I have searched for all my life within me as my own soul. I find God within my soul, as my spirit, as myself. And I can't do it with an egocentric arrogance, thinking that I have something that everyone else doesn't have. I can't do it with arrogance, thinking that I'm better than, or I'm smarter than, or I'm more enlightened than, I'm more spiritual than. I can't do it with any of that, because all that is egocentric. So now I must accept myself as being the best version that I can think of. That is humbling, to see yourself as the best version that you can be and that you can think of, and to accept yourself as that.
The great bill that has been passed is an indication that somebody is not walking in the middle path.
Yeah.
And they used to have wires that stick out on the side of a car that when you get ready to park it.
Oh yeah, those I call them feelers, but they were called something else.
But these wires would scrape the curb to let you know
because they were white wall tires.
Yes, and I've seen some people didn't have them, and the whole tire was white. It just rubbed on the curb because they didn't know how to extend their awareness outside of the car to be the whole car when they're driving it. They only stayed. That's what caused people that make accidents and drive.
So what was your point?
My point is that if you're going to walk this path, you got to walk in your all eternal awareness that you're not the only one out here in the street, and you're not the only one in here that God is in as you. God is in every one of us in the essence of the eternal self, which means you got to talk to people with the respect that God is there, whether you are saved or not, in church or not. I like telling people when I'm walking the dog, they come up beside me. I said, good morning. I can tell. And I say, have a wonderful day. And I said, it might be raining, but you can still have a wonderful day. That's the talk and the walk of the Spirit. Learning how to say those things are honest, just, and of good report. So now we're on this platform, and we're telling you, you don't have to do anything but enjoy your Christ identity by living a life of being straight down the middle of the road. Now, straight down the middle of the road, you don't go around trying to tell everybody the truth.
It's really, really simple. It's really, really simple. It's to do the best you can and not harm others, and not harm yourself.
Oh, you hit a big one there.
Very, very simple. Do the best you can, Don't harm others and don't harm yourself. That's it. We put a lot of effort into trying to say what all of this means, but that's how God extend, and goes back to what you said. That's how God extends itself out and as feelers through us and touches this world and interacts with this world. So it's real simple. Type this in. All I have to do, and what did I just say?
Uh-oh. She done slipped.
All I really have to do.
She slipped and busted a lip.
And I just forgot what it is I had to do. Oh my God.
Talking from...
Wait.
Oh, you gonna try it again?
No, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna show.
Okay, go ahead.
What Robert says, in understanding the function of the left brain versus the right brain, you will understand Republicans and Democrats.
That's right.
It's just non-duality. I mean, it is duality, rather. It is duality.
Amazing grace.
Amazing grace, yes. Thank you, Sissy. Do the best you can. Don't harm others and don't harm yourself. That's it. That's the way.
My sister-in-law came over here yesterday when we had a little cookout, and she come and sit on my lap, and she got up. She said, "Did I cut your leg when I sit on your lap?" I said, I started telling her, "Yeah, you did, but no, honey,
he don't have a lap.
Uh-oh.
His legs are too short. His legs are too short. And now that we've both lost a little weight, he's got a little bit of lap. Thank you, whoever you are. I'm so glad to have you here.
That was the company secret.
Thank you for typing that in. How do you pronounce your Markeisha? Thank you for joining us, Markeisha. I don't know who you are, but I'm glad you're here.
All I have to do is
to do my best, not harm myself and not harm others. Yes.
If you have seen God, let's look at him in reality, not in a fantasy.
Exactly. And that's what this is all about, is allowing that reality and not living in a fantasy, not living in a dream, not living in an illusion. Yes.
See, I know I'm talking to the Spirit of God inside of all of you, especially John Greason. I'm talking to Joe Greason. I'm talking to John Greason, but I'm talking to the Christ inside him at the same time.
Yes.
If there's any meanness in John Greason, I'm going to talk to the meanness too.
Yeah.
I can't get the meanness. Just going to have to. He's just.
We're gonna have to love. We're gonna have to love the meanness.
But you know what? I found out how to walk in love by paying attention to the greatest lover that ever existed, and is still existing. And that is the Spirit of God.
It's when I come to loving you, is when I come to the place that I don't mind the way you are. I don't mind how you act. I don't mind you being the way you are. If you're that way, then it'll be that way. That's what real love is. It's I don't mind you being like that. You
stand in the line at the bank and you got a certain time to eat lunch and get your check cash, and you're standing there and anxiety is all over you. And I was standing one day and the Lord told me, the Spirit said to my inside, said this: do you know you're passing judgment on these people? Mm-hmm. Do you know you operate in judgment and unforgiveness? Mm-hmm. They're not moving fast enough. So what is it that reacts to those people in line?
But sometimes the game is so much fun to play. Mm-hmm. when you drive real fast and everybody's in your way. You like to play that game. It's fun. It's fun. So you drive real fast and everybody's in your way. You're just having fun. Just be careful while you're having it. That's all.
I got a remedy in my Jeep for that. I put a
you got that train horn.
I got a 2 or 3 train horn. And when they
get mad, they be
I pull up meanness in
them. They be cussing them in Spanish. Not just giving them the finger, but doing sign language, cussing in sign language and everything else.
I stop like this in Spanish.
But it's so much fun. So you're having fun
He cussed me out in Spanish.
being devious and being, yeah, you're having fun doing
He
that
cussed
stuff.
me out in Spanish, but I said to him, yeah, you're right.
So so this is what happens. We're gonna be really, really late. So we have to drive really, really fast, and we have to fuss at everybody because they're in our way. And that's just the game.
Yeah.
That's the game. And we do that.
Oh boy, it's been fun talking to you guys. Don't you have fun when you find out the truth? I mean, not truth in letter, but
Yeah,
truth
yeah.
in reality.
Yeah.
This
Now,
is a real thing.
Vincent said,
What?
stay on that, Pastor. He said, passing judgment and such that while situations are bananas. Yeah. Yeah.
My God.
But it's the game, Vincent. It's the game. And we keep trying to shut the game down, but we love the game. We love it.
I didn't know that God is everywhere until I realized he was everywhere, and what he is, I am.
Now, I got to show what Mama Chris said. Mama Chris said this way back when she said, why go through all that? Just get a brick.
I know.
Her favorite saying for when things are going wrong, Vincent, is fan my tail with a brick.
We were staying in the airport one time. We flying for a meeting, and Miss Chris was there. And they told my wife to go ahead and get on the plane that the rest of us would follow through. But when she got on the plane took off and left everybody.
That was my first time flying by myself. Flying it, well.
And Miss Chris, I said, Miss Chris, my wife is getting on the plane. I said, we going. They held us up, and the plane pulled off. Miss Chris said, fan my tail with a brick.
And I'm sitting there in the seat, and the man realizes I'm sitting there crying because everybody else is still left in Milwaukee, and I'm on the plane going home. And
where did we meet you at?
We met in Charlotte, I think.
Somewhere I
had to wait for you guys to land.
Yeah.
And everything. And I sat there, and the man felt so sorry for me. He looked over across the aisle. He said, ma'am, do I need to give you something? I need to help you? I said, no.
She was scared.
But by the time I landed in Charlotte, I was a pro.
Think you fly by yourself?
Oh, yeah. I could do it now. I could do it now. Yeah, Vincent said, get a brick. Yeah. Fan my tail with a brick.
What she say about that?
Oh, Lord. She said, Markeisha said, it's Marquita, and I'm a member of Bow Ministries. Oh, thank you, sweetheart, for joining us today.
Bow Ministry, I've been wanting to come down there and get into.
We're going to take a trip and surprise.
Yeah, we want to come down there and be with Pastor Norman in some of these classes down there and just have a good time watching Jesus Christ and everybody in the place.
Watch you all growing spiritually and doing all you got to do.
I mean, you might well just go ahead and be grown and grow up in Christ.
Yeah.
And put your foot down on the floor and let Jesus walk through you when you walk, because you can't get him out of you just because you don't feel good. You can't send him to hell and expect him to be in another place and you sending him to hell. You know, David said, if I make my bed in hell, he was there.
Yeah.
So that means you can't send nobody to hell, because in the omnipotent self, he made hell a motel.
Okay.
He said, a bed in hell, he was there. Oh, so they got a hotel and beds in hell. I
think we visited we visited hell one time. We went to Fort Payne, Alabama.
Oh,
we slept in that.
Don't say that.
Slept in the Jelts.
Box spring.
The Jelts were so nice. That was their last name, Jelts.
They
were such a big, wonderful family. But they had a house that they had not finished, and they offered us their bed, and there was still tar paper.
Robert, I remember going down to Fort Payne, Alabama. Robert, man, yeah, I think he went. I think Robert,
He might have. But anyway, there was tar paper on the walls. They had little lights hanging down with wires.
Yeah.
And there was nothing finished.
Yeah.
And they gave us their bed to sleep in, and it had box springs.
Box springs.
And it
covered up.
When he got in on one side, it flipped up on the other side.
So, and all of us getting the bed, they gave us their bed. So
God made his bed in heaven.
He did. But we went down there, and I had to sit down on one side and she sat on the other.
We had to sit on it together in order to
Brother
get in.
Brother Jill had some cows or something out there in the backyard, and he got struck by light. He's out there messing around.
Pigs in the yard, honey.
Yeah, pigs run around the yard like they was playing in the park, you know.
And the kitchen had a picnic table.
Yeah, picnic table. Oh my God! I told Lord, Robert, I told Lord, I said, Lord, I go anywhere you send me. Just let me know you want me to go.
Yeah, you said that until we started heading up the road, and we kept getting deeper and deeper in the woods, and we started praying, Lord, where we going? Where we going?
And church was way back on through it. Robert, you remember that,
where we're gonna end up.
Yeah,
we don't say that anymore.
No. I preached during that time at some of them churches had them big old giant pot belly stoves, and when they go to jump them down the stove, be just jumping and moving up off the floor.
You could see the ceiling.
You could see everything.
The air, you could see the sky.
Kicking running across the dirt road, you know.
And the floors would bump and bounce when you were on.
Oh Lord, I said, help me.
I
won't say help me, baby Jesus.
So yes, God does make his bed in hell.
It was rough down. So the next few times we went down and we got our motel.
Look, Vincent said, I heard they keep the lights on in hell.
Ooh.
And Robert said he remembers Fort Payne.
Yeah, we used to ride the road down.
Payne. It's spelled P-A-N-E. We call it Fort Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that too, Robert. There was some kind of something.
Oh, and Brother Jeff was known for making good old barbecue ribs.
Yeah, beef ribs.
So we sat down on that picnic table in the dining room. And that picnic table, it's an old rusty picnic table too.
Yeah,
sit down and bit into one of them ribs. I said, I don't mean no harm, but you say you got the best sauce for these ribs. But my God, you could take one of them ribs and use it as a scotch block, put up on a tractor and trailer tire.
Robert said they walked out on him.
Oh, Lord. Boy, we had some time down at Robert Lee. I'm telling you the truth, Robert J. We had some time on that highway. That was back there when we were little young folks, didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to come in out the rain.
Now we gotta end. We've been here over an hour, and I know that you got other things to do. We bless you for being with us. Thank you. And we want to give you the opportunity to give. Thank you so much for your love gifts coming to us and for sending your tithes and your offerings to Cornerstone. Thank you for that. We love you for that. And you really bailed us out in many cases by giving us your loving support. And we thank you for sharing that with us, your hard-earned money that you worked for and labored for, and you send a portion of it to us. Thank you so much for that. And we plan to be back on Tuesday at 7. Pastor Norman, if you're still with us, give me a thumbs up if you're going to be with us Tuesday night. Tuesday night, we love the conversations we have with Pastor Norman.
But I enjoy doing this. This is great. And thank you guys, Leslie, and all you little bitty Leslies out there, and the little Roberts and all little Vincent. Thank you for helping us financially.
Robert said all of them they walked out on him, and then he says, well, the men did. The women folks stayed with me. And look, Vincent says your truth must have been too dry. They wanted it watered down.
You know, I went to the sleep apnea place. I tell you this right quick. I wanted to get my CPAP machine checked out, you know. And I told the assistant that was helping me with it, I said, you know what? In my pastor church, I said, I used to collect these CPAP machines and give them to people that couldn't afford the insurance and all that stuff for them. Yeah. And I told him, I said, now, here's what I do while I'm preaching. I said, now, I think I'm doing a pretty good job, but I look out there in the audience. I can see somebody out there in the audience got sleep apnea. He said, well, how? I said, they don't went to sleep while I'm preaching.
They may not have sleep apnea. They might just done like they did Robert.
So I walk down the aisle and I look at him and I touch him. Some of them, I used to touch him, wake him up. They jump when you do. But I used to have fun with them.
Robert, man, we haven't forgotten. We owe you a dinner. We have to get together with you and your wonderful wife, Denise. We haven't forgotten. I plan to give you a text or something. We'll work something out to get together.
Vincent,
I haven't forgotten.
I got to call Vincent Crenshaw and talk to him what he was celebrating and told him about it. He's got his new transplant.
Kidney.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got
And
his kidney.
I told him I was going to call him, but I haven't been able to get back to him.
Yeah.
But if you get a chance to call him and talk to him, let him know I haven't forgot about him. Okay.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
I carry you all in my heart.
Yes. Yes. Go and be blessed. Have a wonderful Sunday. We'll see you on Tuesday.
See you on Turn Around, you John Greasons.